You're watching ABC4 Utah. Midday.
Representative Chris Stewart from Utah's 2nd Congressional District just came back from a national security trip to northern Africa where you met with world leaders. Happy to have you here to talk about that and some other big issues today. Yeah. Nice to see you.
Good to be with you. I want to know, how come you didn't have me come dance, though?
We offered, and your people said they just shut it down.
Next time.
So they didn't want any of that.
They're smart.
I don't know why.
They're smart.
All right, let's talk national security. This trip, what is on the minds of world leaders when it comes to U.S. national security?
Everywhere I go, I hear the same thing. And it's from Middle East to North Africa to now Eastern Europe. And it's just saying, where is the United States? Our allies wonder if they can count on us any longer. And I could give you example after example of that. And frankly, our adversaries are kind of glad to see this happening, because when we don't project the power and the influence and the leadership that we have done for generations, they know that the world becomes their playground, and it empowers them. And it's very troubling. I mean, it's just very troubling for us right now.
How's that going to change?
Well, it comes down to leadership. I mean, it's really that simple. It's not the United States isn't capable any longer. We very clearly are. It's not that we don't have the national will, because we do, but we right now have a leader who has this concept of leading from behind. And I don't even know what that means. I mean, honestly, what does that even mean, lead from behind? But he feels like it's his policy to have the United States withdraw its influence, to not be that leader that we've been for generations. But when we do that, we leave the world a much more chaotic place.
And what's the biggest threat because of that right now, in your opinion?
Well, it's hard to say, because there's so many of them. I mean, you can't discount ISIS, and they're growing. I mean, they're a caliphate.
Oh, we're seeing unprecedented movement by them, and the way they're recruiting people as well through social media.
It's unbelievable. And frankly, it's one of the most evil things we've seen in maybe a generation or more. But it's not the only one. You know, when candidate Romney said that the largest geopolitical foe we face is Russia, there's no question that's true. But even in the South China Sea, and China exerting their influence, you talk to people from Japan or that Pacific Rim area, they all want to talk about China. So unfortunately, there are many concerns that we have right now.
All right, let's move on to something a little closer to home. We had a major spill in a river in Colorado. It has made its way into 3 different states, including ours.
Yep.
What are your latest concerns on that?
Well, I would hope the EPA would respond to this the same way that they demand a private company would respond. And that's, let's be honest about what happened. And they weren't. I mean, they were very, very slow in acknowledging, you know, the extent of this spill. And they didn't warn the cities and the communities, and in some cases the tribal lands downriver that this was coming. And then let's hold them accountable, just like they would with a private company. I think if we treat them like they would treat another private company or individual, then we'll be okay with the outcome. My fear is that so far they haven't.
What should holding them accountable look like? What punishment should they face for this disaster?
Well, for one thing, we know this is going to be very expensive to go through their mediation process. And they need to obviously pay for that. And we're looking now on the appropriations process. Some of the things that I've started working on already is where we're going to pull that money from. Because Congress isn't going to give them additional funds to clean this up. We're going to have to pull it from some of the other EPA accounts. Now, they're not going to like that. But again, they're the ones who caused this problem, and they need to be the ones who are responsible for figuring out how they're going to pay for it.
Interesting race for the White House. I'd like to get your take on that. It's like something we've really never seen on the Republican side. Very crowded, and a surprise candidate at the very top. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump and him still, to this day, leading in the polls?
Well, I think 2 things. One is it shows the angst of the American people, that they truly are just not only angry, but they're very confused and in some ways really quite concerned about our future. I would say this about Donald Trump, and this will make some people angry, but if for no other reason than some of the things that he has said about women, I think he's completely disqualified himself for being President of the United States. If you read some of the things he has said and written and tweeted about women, I don't know how anyone could say, well, that's okay. But the good news is we've got some tremendous candidates, and not more than just one. We have many of them would be, I think, really, really powerful leaders of the United States. And I'm excited to see how it plays out.
When will it start to play out, though? Because everyone keeps saying he's going to fade, but he's not.
I don't think he's going to fade. But I think he has reached a ceiling. And he probably will maintain this 20 to 22%, sometimes 24% in some polls. But we haven't seen him go beyond that now, and I don't think that we will. I think now you'll have these other candidates begin to emerge. As some of them drop out, their support will flow to some of these other other candidates. And I think we've seen about the ceiling with Donald, but the others are just beginning to rise.
Okay, one or two. Who's going to rise up?
Marco Rubio is a great friend of mine. It's a guy that I have tremendous respect for. I think that Scott Walker might, and maybe someone will surprise us. Ben Carson or Fiorina. They're both great candidates as well.
Okay, you have something special going on tonight. Talk to us about your town hall meeting.
Town hall meeting in West Valley, 7 o'clock. Love to sit down and talk with people, hear what's on their minds. Invite everyone in that part of the county to come on out and see us.
Okay, so that's at 7 o'clock tonight over at West Valley City Hall?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks for making time for us
Fun
today.
to be with you. Thank you.
You too. Emily?
Thank